This paint was created by Jan van Eyck in 1343, and it's about the Arnolfinis family. In the painting, it appears Giovanni di Arrigo and his wife in a main plane, and if you look at the mirror at the back of the room, you can see the author drawing the work and also his signature. This painting is believed to represent the wedding of the two, but the curious thing is that the author painted the work 13 years before the wedding, and he died 6 years before this one too. Because of this, it is also believed that it can be the representation of the previous wife of him, doing it a memorial representation.
This artwork is called Portrait of a Woman of the Hofer family. Its author is called Swabian. He painted it around 1470. The lady's identity is unknown, but we can see that she holds a forget-me-not for remembrance. She has a fly on her headdress painted with a lot of details and a little shadow. During the Renaissance, it was very common and popular to include creatures like flies to trick the eye.
The Nativity at Night is a painting made by Georget tot Sint-Jans about 1419 in Netherlands, and now is exhibited in the National Gallery in London. This is one of the most engaging and convincing retreatments of the Nativity at Night scene. In the foreground is the Virgin and the Christ seal in the crib, as a source of light that represents that God is the light that illuminates their lives. All the painting is very dark, and the artist made a contrast between the darkness and the divine light. Saint Joseph is in the background, and some animals too. There are also some small angels in the left.
The Three Miracles of Saint Zenobius was painted by Sandro Botticelli about 1500. The painting shows a scene from the life of the saint. Three miracles can be observed. In the first one, Zenobius exorcises devils from two possessed youths. In the second one, he restores the sight of a blind pagan that promised to convert to Catholicism. And the last of the miracles that he did was to raise a dead body to life.
Hi, I'm Alvaro, and I'm going to talk about the National Gallery. In this painting, what we can find is a perfect representation of how the 16th century was. In the middle of the painting, they are represented two ambassadors, who are symbols of religion and power. On the other hand, their research in different topics like science or music are depicted with an instrument and the image of the world. But the thing it surprises the most is a deformed skull, representation of death, which can be perfectly seen from the right point of view.
The author of this paint is Bronzino, a famous Italian painter of the 16th century. In this paint, you can see two different realities who he wanted to reflect. On the one hand, eroticism and love, with a Venus and a Cupid kissing representing love and its forms. By the other hand, oblivion, a character who represents the jealousy and the stigma of syphilis.
Hello, my name is Raul, and I'm going to talk about The Tailor. The Tailor is a paint made by Giovanni Battista Bruni in 1565. Now it is exhibited in the National Gallery in London. It is the most famous of modernist portraits. The colorful costume of the tailor is constructed with the black material marked with sharp lines that he prepares to cut. Most of the sitters in Moroni's later portraits are dressed in black, in the Spanish fashion that persisted in the following century. A tailor's shirt leads from above to left. The eyes are looking at the spectator with a separate apparel. Because of this paint is recognized like the most important paint from Giovanni Battista Bruni.
This painting, called Christ in the House of Martha and Mary, and painted by Diego Velázquez, sets on 1615. Although it seems to be a simple painting, if you look closer you will notice something odd. The scene in the background looks like a window, but it isn't. A mirror? Too expensive. An oil painting? Down in the kitchen. What is it then? Velázquez left us with a little riddle in one of his most famous paintings, and I'm sure you didn't notice.
Here you can see the painting of a young man holding a school who was painted by French Halls. Its full title is Young Man Holding a School, and it was made in 1626. It was painted in oil on canvas, and its dimensions are 92.2 plus 80.8 centimeters. It was bought by the British Museum in 1980 and is located in the room 25, so it's very well located, so people go a lot to see them, as you can see.
Minerva protects Pax from Mars, allegory of peace and war. Minerva drives away Mars, god of war, in Rubens' powerful Antiguas painting, a visual plea for peace between England and Spain, in 1630, presented as a gift to Charles I from Philip IV. The frontal lining creates death in the image as the strong shadows and the bodies define spacing and movements. The highlight and the darkness at the same time represent the antitheses of Pax and Mars. Rubens uses the most suntuous colors available, an evidence of rich reds, deep browns, golds, and greens are used to create the various textures and the fabrics, to define emotions.
In this painting, the well-known Dutch painter Rembrandt shows how several people eat at the banquet. Among them, the Babylonian king Belshazzar reacts to an appearance of writing of Jesus. While the painter Verano was a Dutch painter and engraver. The history of art considers him one of the greatest masters of painting and engraving, being certainly the most important artist in the history of Netherlands. His contribution to painting consists with what historians have come to call the Dutch Golden Age.
The Venus of the Mirror is a painting by Velázquez from 1599 to 1660. The most outstanding painter of the Spanish Golden Age. This is the only surviving example of a female nude that he did. Venus, the goddess of love, was regarded as a personification of female beauty. Her son, Cupid, holds a mirror, a very important part of the painting, because it shows the face of Venus to the dark viewer. That is a style that characterized Velázquez, as it connects the spectator with the work and the artist.
This artwork was made by Pierre Mingard. He was a very popular French artist born in 1612, Troyes. Years later, he was called by the King of France for painting him. After this, he was very known, and nearly his death he drew this piece. This picture was drawn in 1691. It's an allegory, an image full of coded message. It shows a French marquise sitting near the seahorse with two of her sons around her. The marquise have in the hand a portrait of her deceased husband. This is for show the rest of the men that she was single and open to a new marriage. His marriage ended unhappy because her husband was from an inferior social class, and she thought her son couldn't be greater than his father. All the jewels she has around him are gifts from the king, because she was his mistress.
An experiment of a bird in the air pump is a paint done in the 7th century by Joseph Richt of Derby, which shows and critiques the society through a scientific thing, which is were all a social event by that century. In the paint we can see a scientist who is trying to reanimate a bird which is in a glass pump, and the reaction of the different persons of the room. There are different gestures by some characters, as well as stress, sadness, or excitement. From my point of view, this fact wants to show the selfishness and the clear fault of empathy when we want to get something cost what it cost.
The Execution of Lady Jane Grey de la Rose was a celebrity artist in Paris around the 1830s. He was very popular due to his representation of emotions and his technical and fake composition, such as Lady Jane was the Queen of England for just 9 days, until she was dethroned the 12th of February 1554. She was 16 years old. In this painting, she is guided towards the execution block by Sir John Briggs. The straw on which the block rests was intended to soak up the victim's blood. The executioner stands impassive on the right, and two ladies in attendance are so grieved to the left. The painting was exhibited in Paris, where it caused a sensation.